In brightest day, in blackest night, all other podcasts tremble in fright. Losers cower before the power. Oranges lust and blues you can trust. Indigos feel and white ones heal. Yellows scare and green ones dare. That sapphire love and black hands glove will rock your foundation without hesitation. Chad and Marge face evil's might. Respect their power, for they'll make you see the light.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chad Bokelman.
I'm Mark Marble.
And this is the LanternCast.
Episode 350, the big one! Well, not really.
Well, I mean, technically.
It is 350, it's just not particularly, it's not going to be oversized.
No, not an oversized anniversary episode or anything like that, but 350 is a big number, so we figured we'd cover something relatively big. Well, actually, Mark figured we'd cover, because I don't think did we mention doing Emerald Dawn 2 when we had our little meeting about what we wanted to do in the future?
Yeah. This year,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely, Emerald. Because we've been talking. Spoiler alert! Yes, it's Emerald Dawn 2. But of course, you know that before you click the link because it's going to be the title. We talked about doing Emerald Dawn 2 ever since we did the first one.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I know we'd planned it. I just didn't know if we talked about when we met up to discuss our options this year. I didn't know if that we tossed this out or not, but whatever. So yeah, Emerald Dawn 2 issues 1 through 6. And Mark's gonna take this one. Now you've got the trade, I assume.
Yes.
I've got the digital issues individually, so it's a good thing you're recapping this one, so there's no pause in between the issues as you recap. But yeah, man, take it away.
All right, Green Lantern Emerald Dawn 2, otherwise known as, 90 Days, Chad?
Yep, 90 days.
Oh, Hal. So we have Keith Giffen and Gerard Jones writers, M.D. Bright penciler, Romeo Tangal inker, Anthony Tollin colorist, and Albert de Guzman is the letterer. Pretty much most everybody here we kind of know it's from Green Lantern comic books.
Mm-hmm.
No great surprises here. So the whole framing mechanism or device for this story basically goes back to Emerald Dawn 1 with the controversial decision of making Hal Tony Stark and making him a drunk, right, Hal? Right, Chad?
Right.
So he got busted for DUI, and basically, essentially, this whole miniseries, this 6-issue miniseries, picks up on the repercussions of that when Hal decides to man up and plead guilty. And of course, Hal Jordan can't really afford a lawyer. Not a good plan. He's kind of expecting some leniency. He doesn't get it. They pretty much throw the book at him, and they throw him like 90 days in the state pen, pretty much. Not even so that, which is not. It's definitely not what Hal Jordan signed up for. So part 1 is called The Powers That Be, and you kind of see Hal on the little paddy wagon being taken off to the state pen. But in the meantime, in the van, Hal hears about a robbery taking place, and he kind of creates this emerald construct of himself that basically is like a placeholder because he figures, I'm going to take care of this and get back in time. So he transforms into his uniform, flies out to deal with these bank robbers, and of course Hal's doing a good job until he becomes Hal and gets cocky and he gets cracked over the head with like a yellow. It's like it's not a lamppost, but it's like a rope, probably like a rope holder, right? Like a whatever that is. Yeah, like those things that divide up the line and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. Obviously, there's a term for it, which I'm drawing a blank on. But Hal gets cracked in the face. He doesn't get knocked out, but he gets stunned. Then he kind of gets teed off, and he kind of takes out the bank robbers pretty quickly. He kind of he creates a pseudo prison out of material in the bank. Just to keep them in place because he knows the cops are on their way at this point, so he can fly off and put himself back in the paddy wagon where he belongs. And that happens right before he gets to jail. The guards notice the Green Lantern ring, and they kind of like then the ring kind of like he makes the ring disappear, and they kind of threaten him with a body cavity search, which was kind of confusing because I kind of assumed he ended up somehow turning over the ring, but of course he really didn't. But it makes you wonder where he put that ring.
He just willed it invisible.
Right, but they were threatening a body cavity search. I mean, pretty much.
Right, it was still on his ring, his finger, but invisible.
Yeah, they didn't do. You would think they would have done a better job, but yeah, you are correct. That's all it was. But I thought when I first read it, they kind of like were trying to like. It was just a ploy for Hal to more or less turn the ring over and not have it on him. But either way, we know he ends up with it. We cut to Oa, where the Guardians are. This is in the post-Legion cleanup mode, and they're talking about how, pretty much Hal Jordan needs to be trained, and Kilowog he's doing the recruitment and for new corpsmen. So at this point, they kind of decide that, hey, the best one to deal with Hal, to train him, is Sinestro. We cut back to prison where Hal's dealing with this kind of like, almost like a Mr. Clean Jason Voorhees combination. who's kind of threatening Hal, and Hal's like, he's got his. We see in this scene that makes it clear that he still has his ring, but before Hal can even think about doing anything if necessary to kind of like fend off this guy ends up with a shank in his back, and of course Hal Jordan seemingly gets in trouble because people think he shanked this guy. So he ends up being accused of this, and he kind of gets not a lawyer, but he kind of gets a caseworker. And guess who the caseworker is? Who is it, Chad?
Kyle Rayner.
No, but it's close. It's Guy Gardner. Non-bowl cut Guy Gardner. Relatively mellow Guy Gardner, at least for now. And Guy Gardner kind of makes it clear that he thinks that he can help Hal, and he believes him, and he thinks he can get him out of this situation. When he says his name, Hal recognizes Guy Gardner from when he played football at Michigan. And Hal kind of talks, Guy kind of talks about how he's kind of like channeled his aggression, more or less, to try to. So that's why he kind of comes across as this pussycat now. In space, Sinestro is protecting his sector, dealing with. Do we know who? Does it say who they are? I thought it did.
I don't believe so.
But it doesn't really matter. Some lizard-like aliens in white silver spaceships that Sinestro pretty much thwarts their invasion, and he cleans up the mess and everything else. He returns to Korogor, and of course you kind of get the first hint of trouble the way the radar operator is reacting. It's like, he's coming, but they don't look too happy. But of course, by the time Sinestro arrives, there's all these everybody's playing music for him, his theme song supposedly, I guess. And they're cheering for him, and they're welcoming him, and we kind of get the young Kat Matui there, of the Young Lantern Brigade. Foreshadowing, but Kat Matui there, with flowers waiting for Sinestro and everything else, and Sinestro gives her a special signal in case she or the brigade ever need help. You got another sign of trouble when. What does he actually step on here?
It could be a piece of glass or a crumpled piece of paper. Who knows?
Basically, the point. I think the ultimate point is there's something's not pristine. Everything's not the way Sinestro likes it, and he ends up stepping on something. And you get a really angry look in Sinestro's face, and some of the people waving the Green Lantern flags are really concerned. And all of a sudden, Sinestro and the green pop disappears. And of course, the Korogorians there are pretty happy that Sinestro leaves. He ends up Sinestro in the Guardian Citadel, and this is when the Guardians kind of pretty much inform him of his new task to train Hal Jordan. Of course, he's not happy with it because he's afraid of leaving his sector, that he might fall into chaos and everything else. And at least Sinestro kind of buoys his own spirits in this by making it seem like at least the Guardians recognize talent when they see one. At least they recognize that they picked the right man for the job, at least, even if they got to take me away from where I want to be. And that leads to the end of the first part, where a cell-bound Hal Jordan sees the arrival of Sinestro, and part Part 2, which is entitled Balance of Power. Sinestro's kind of confused at first, thinking that for some reason that Hal Jordan is choosing to live in the squalor, and then Hal fills Sinestro in about, no, I'm pretty much I'm paying the penance for something that I did. Maybe basically kind of saying maybe the Guardians should know about this, and we should do this kind of after the fact once they get sprung from my 90 days. Sinestro doesn't really buy that. He kind of creates a sleeping Hal Jordan construct. Now, how is that really going to... I mean, I like the way that they kind of change it into more like a hard light construct, but still. But they kind of make the construct of sleeping Hal Jordan, so then Sinestro and Hal go off together. Sinestro starts giving the basic training, the very basic ideas. You're wasting your mental energies. Your ring will lead you through simple obstacles, and that's when they're flying through space. And he's basically trying to just give Hal a crash course on what a Green Lantern really should be and how you should use the ring. We end up with an interesting meeting here of Coons, the Citadel, and the Dominators. Some of our favorite people, right, Chad? Well, maybe it wouldn't be so bad if the Coons wasn't involved.
Well, they suggest later that the Durlans join this.
Yes, I know. I saw that
just
too.
Like, thank God not.
That made me cringe. It's like, thank God we had to wait decades to realize why that was a bad idea. So they're having an evil meeting of the minds, plotting embargoes and dealing with trade tariffs and all this crap. And Sinestro and Hal pretty much are there to kind of like break up this meeting. Sinestro goes, "It's my regretful duty to bear the news that the Green Lantern Corps, which is to say the Guardians of the Universe, are troubled at such a consolidation of power." And Sinestro kind of stumbles more than I did there, because first he says that that I have an issue with it, then he says the Green Lantern Corps has an issue with it, then he says, oh, but that means the Guardians. So basically, he's kicking the can all the way up, but originally Sinestro's real self was coming out and saying, I have an issue with this, and that's kind of why I'm here. It's kind of funny seeing Sinestro trying to be diplomatic in his own way, which I find really curious, but I guess he's putting on the good face. That doesn't really last very long anyway, because they end up getting into this fight. Sinestro tries to prevent it. Hal's ready to be Hal and ready to leap into action, and they end up having a big brouhaha, and Sinestro's yelling at Hal's like, "But the Guardians, Jordan, do you realize where we are? Do you think that even they can survive a fall like that?" When he kind of throws some of the alliance out the window, and then we see that, of course, Hal Jordan says, "Oh, I was just trying to get their attention," and he kind of scoops them all up in little energy construct spheres, half spheres, or like spoons almost. We have a Dominator who blasts Sinestro, which is kind of funny because he tells Hal Jordan to watch his back, and of course he's the one who gets blasted from behind. Sinestro doesn't like the fact that Hal keeps calling him Sin. Nor would I, actually. That's a really bad nickname. So we have a whole bunch of Coon and everybody else all KO'd. Sinestro is staggering to his feet, and ironically Hal's the only one who's completely on his feet and looking good. Sinestro obviously didn't like that. He kind of lashes out at Hal. It's like, you're hopeless, you're a waste of my time, a waste of the Guardian's energy. I had the situation under control. Do you hear me? Under control! And then, of course...
you know what that reminds me of? Because this is the second time this has happened. Because earlier, Sinestro says, chaotic minds, chaotic. And then he does the same thing here. He does the whole under control.
Yoda.
It reminds me of Professor Hinkle from Frosty the Snowman. Busy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Because my mind immediately went there. Now I hear in my voice the voice of Sinestro in my head is Professor Hinkle from Frosty the Snowman.
Oh yes, and as I said a second ago, it kind of, even though he doesn't mean it in a true way, it reminds me of Yoda in Empire. Control! You must learn control! Except, of course, this would be like Yoda yelling at him. and oops, as I hit my headset. And after Yoda just freaked out and completely lost control himself. So Sinestro and Hal are really not off to a great start here. And he's like, blasted, even yelling at you is a waste. Just let me see if I can salvage this situation. And Sinestro kind of points out, that as all the would-be alliance makers here are laying on the ground, staggering to their feet. It's like, my honored host, so with the deepest regret that the Green Lantern Corps has found it necessary to discomfort you in this manner, but let us demonstrate the pointlessness of trying to forge your alliance. And if you so much damage can be inflicted by only one Green Lantern, pretty much just imagine what the Corps can do to you. And I hope you could give this serious thought, Sinestro says. He flies off, and and Hal's responding to the just one Green Lantern. It's like what am I, the water boy, that kind of thing. And Hal flies off. The Dominators are not entirely, and their alliance are not exactly happy. It's like they all said, it's like, yeah, we're gonna forget the alliance, but it's like, no, it's like we wait, but we never forget. And it's like, someday, yeah, and it's like and it's like yeah, it's like you can go as low as you want, Dominator. That little sanctimonious redskin creep thinks he can handle the Coons now, and I'm going to rectify his impression. We go back to jail where Willie, who is Hal's going to be Hal's cellmate, shows up, and of course we see the fake Hal Jordan that is sleeping in his bunk. And Hal's on the bottom bunk. Willie tries to get over Hal to get into the top bunk. Doesn't quite work. He slips. He basically goes right through the energy construct. Hal hits his head. He bangs his head, and he hits his head, stuns himself. Sinestro and Hal go separate ways because pretty much at night is when they're doing all these training sessions, so Hal can sneak out. Hal arrives back into the prison, and he's trying to sneak in incognito. And of course when he shows up, then of course Willie is wide awake and he sees Hal Jordan entering the cell in his Green Lantern uniform. So part 3, this begins power play, and Willie kind of passes out, which is kind of funny, momentarily. And Willie and Hal kind of come to a meeting of the minds about this, about their relationship. And basically Willie agrees to keep a secret and everything else. He keeps eyeing Hal's Green Lantern ring though, and whether he was actually going to take it or it looks like he's going to take it. The point was the alarm goes the alarm goes off because it's time for everybody to get up in the prison, and of course Hal barely had Hal pretty much was out all night, and he barely had a chance to shut his eyes, so he's tired. Willie kind of gets into a fight with, as it turns out, one of the guys who was knocking over the bank that Hal Jordan stopped. So this guy kind of he punches out Willie, makes a point. Hal intervenes, and this prisoner recognizes Hal Jordan by the voice and everything else, and that's not really what Hal wants to deal with, and so at this point, the correction officers come in, and because the fight's going on in the cafeteria / mess hall, and they're breaking up the fight, and Guy shows up. Why Guy happened to be on the scene and in a position to see all this, we don't know, but Guy kind of vouches for Hal, saying Hal's the one who just, broke up the fight and everything else. So Guy and Hal continue their talk, and it's like, it doesn't really matter. I'm just glad I was there. These guards will treat you the same as him, It's like, thanks, you're getting sorted to be my guardian angel. Guy and Willie end up having this conversation. It's like, you could say Guy has no love for Willie. It's like, he's no revolving door convict like you, and I don't want to see anyone trying to talk him into being one. And it's kind of funny. We find out that pretty much Willie he stole the guy's watch and his wallet, and being that close to him. So at least he's good at what he does, right? Right, Chad. You've almost
called me Hal twice.
I know. I don't know why. I think it's take it as a compliment, but I don't know why. I don't know. I think it's just a transition from Guy to Hal. I think because I keep wanting to call Guy Hal, and then I keep wanting to call you Hal too. I don't know. Everybody's Hal except for Sinestro, which will make Sinestro happy. So Sinestro shows back in the evening, and of course Willie happens to be around, and he sees all this. Hal kind of vouches for him. Sinestro doesn't care, and he kind of like is about to do a mind wipe on him. Hal kind of points out why this is a bad thing, that you shouldn't be doing shit like this. Hal and Sinestro fly off. They're dealing with. It's kind of like a recap here that they keep cutting between what Hal and Sinestro were doing in the evening when Sinestro was training him, and we're seeing Hal kind of like more or less being accustomed to the prison life during the day, and sort of like making friends for the most part, except for that one convict, the guy from the bank robbery, who basically ends up confronting Willie, and he's looking for more information on Hal, and he ends up getting shanked. Hal finds this out when he's in the shower, and of course Hal wants to go dealing with Willie because I guess he wanted to see him, but of course Sinestro once again shows up, and the timing is poor, but Hal makes the decision that he probably should go with Sinestro. Now we end up arriving on Corridor, and we see all the Green Lantern symbols and all the flags, with Sinestro's face on it, and pretty much we find, Hal's just stunned the way they worship him. Sinestro's more stunned, and surprised that nobody's around to greet him like they should. Then all of a sudden we hear a big boom, and all the Corridorians are opening fire on Hal and Sinestro with the death, the Green Lantern tyranny. Oh, yes. Good times. Part 4, the will to power. And obviously, now we see an unfortunate alliance between the Khund and the Corridorians here, especially Kat Matui. But I guess the kind of like the enemy of your enemy is your friend kind of thing. So they've teamed up, and Kat Matui doesn't really care. They're trying to take out Hal and Sinestro. Sinestro's freaking out. It's like they cannot be doing this. It's got to be some form of mind control. They couldn't rise up against me. I had them too well trained. And Hal picks up on that immediately. It's like, trained? What is this, a planet of seals? Sinestro is just, he just is convinced everybody's mind basically being mind controlled here. And it's like, show yourselves, whoever's corrupting my children. And Sinestro really starts ripping into Corridor big time, and Hal's trying to talk him out of it, talk him down at first. Then eventually Hal kind of contains him, and it's like you're killing them. It's like if it's a case of mind control like you think, and he's trying to make the point that if you're right, then it's even more reason not to kill them. Sinestro says, "What difference does it make if it's mind control? My people are in a state of chaos," and Hal kind of makes it clear that this situation is kind of like too big for just the two of us, and he basically called in help. He called in other Green Lanterns. First, it's a moment of like fear or kind of like more like acceptance of what that could really mean to him with the other Green Lanterns showing up here. Then he lashes out at Hal, saying it's like it's going to spread disorder and everything else. It's like, this is my sector, the most perfect sector. Hal and Sinestro basically are duking it out at this point, and it's like, and they continue. I find it interesting when Sinestro puts him in the chokehold and is almost choking him unconscious. Obviously, that makes me think of the duplicate in Emerald Twilight, when Hal kind of is doing the same thing to Sinestro shortly before he ends up breaking his neck. Hal is able to focus his willpower before he goes unconscious, and he blasts Sinestro in the face. And it becomes clear now to all the Corridorians that Sinestro and Hal are fighting. So they're not. So maybe not all the Green Lanterns are evil, or they may certainly not all be on Sinestro's side. Hal actually gets the better of Sinestro, as Sinestro kind of like staggers to his feet, and it's like you don't understand. It's like the Corps is going to misunderstand all this. The Guardians they're not going to understand. It's like we have to get out of here, and like before they find us and everything else. And then I like the way Sinestro goes, "We can't do that from a science cell on Oa." It's like, we need freedom to clear our names. Sinestro, always a dick, never going to change. So Hal kind of goes with Sinestro at this point, but he kind of knows that this is not really not really what he should be doing. We go back to the prison infirmary where Guy is dealing with Willie, and they're having this conversation. And Willie's still looking for Hal, and of course Hal's gone, and it's like he's just hoping Hal gets, Hal's going to get back in time and everything else. On Korogor, Count Matui is all happy. It's like, we shattered the power of the Green Lanterns. They're all celebrating, and all of a sudden, Kilowog and Tomore and the Green Lantern Corps shows up, and Count Matui starts lashing out at the Green Lanterns, thinking that they're all in league with Sinestro, and and pretty much at this point, the Green Lanterns end up discovering what Sinestro was up to, and they try to explain to Count Matui. It's like, Tomar goes, young lady, I realize you may not believe this, but there's a great deal you don't know about the Green Lantern Corps. On the Citadel and Oa, the Guardians kind of realize what's going on with Sinestro, and mostly Sinestro, but they need to track down Sinestro and Hal. So they release the Fists of the Guardians, which essentially kind of look like a combination of a robotic Jedi Master Kit Fisto wearing Guy Gardner outfit. They are really weird looking robot things, aren't they?
Yeah, why do we need the Alpha Lanterns when we have the Fists?
Yeah, that's right. And no cosmic surgery required.
Sure.
That's right. Part 5, The Price of Power. Yes, power is a common theme here in these titles. Hal and Sinestro are on an asteroid, and they're pretty much, Sinestro's trying to figure all this out. Hal points out maybe they were unhappy. Hal's like, can't this wait, Sinestro? If we're going to lie low, we need to find a place to hide. We've been roaming space. It's like, for 2 days. I was like, oh my god. It's like, I gotta get back to prison. Which nobody ever says, but it's true in Hal's case. It's like, I gotta get back to jail. Meanwhile in the prison, there appears to basically it's like this prison break or attempted riot is forming. Guy keeps pumping Willie. It's like, where's Hal? It's like, honestly, I haven't seen Hal. And Guy's like, if you know anything Willie don't cover, he's been missing 2 days. We have to think escape. The prisoners conducting rioting now show up in the infirmary, and they take Guy hostage. Willie, they pretty much they grab Willie too, right?
No, they leave Willie.
Do they leave Willie? Because he must be sitting up in that one scene when Guy's being taken away. I thought they were taking him too. So Willie's still waiting for Hal to show back up again. Hal and Sinestro show up together. Hal goes to see Willie, and he kind of finds out what's going on. Sinestro makes a construct, Willie, to pass himself off as Willie.
No, he says, what does he say? I merely removed him from this building complex. So he transported Willie and then turned himself into Willie.
Oh, that's right. I just was about to turn the page to that scene, but I was looking at the previous one. But yes, that's the basic point. Sinestro is pretending to be Willie at this point.
But he's moved Willie.
Yes, he's
out of the building.
Yes, he's moved Willie. Willie's no longer in the infirmary. He's not.
But we don't know where.
Yes, but we do not know where. So the prisoners are threatening Guy. The Fists of the Guardians find the asteroid that Hal and Sinestro were on, and they basically track the trail, and they realized where they went, so they start heading off to Earth. The prison riot really gets underway now. The main convict here, the one from the robbery, he wants a Green Lantern ring. He wants Hal Jordan's ring. Hal kind of gives it to him. He puts the ring on. It's like the power. It's like I'm really grateful for this, buddy, and that's what the convict says. And back in the day when anybody could use the Green Lantern ring, so this guy is just using the power ring, blasting energy all over the place. Guy's watching all this, and he kind of sees that Willie ends up having a Green Lantern ring. Then we see it turns into Sinestro. Sinestro pretty much nullifies the other guy's Green Lantern power, pulls the ring away from him. I liked his little speech here as like, take this as an example, Jordan. Fear is the mother of disorder. Hal's ring goes back onto his finger. Now we see Guy who's got the gun now, pointing the gun at that convict. And it's like Guy's on the verge of losing it. It's like he's a killer, and Hal's trying to talk Guy down. It's like, Guy, we've got him. And Guy's like, he's an animal, and he kind of like he kind of like pistol whips him, and then he drops the gun, and Guy goes after him, and Guy kind of goes full bore Guy, and starts beating the shit out of this guy, and starts choking him. Then Sinestro kind of pulls him off him. Hal actually pulls him off him. It looks like with the Green Lantern hand. Sinestro's like, why not let one animal kill the other, Jordan? He tells Sinestro to shut up. Now Sinestro does his mind wipe thing that he was going to do with Willie. He does it with this convict, so he pretty much won't remember anything, especially about the Green Lantern stuff. Guy's really upset that he almost killed him barehanded, and Hal kind of gives him a pep talk. It's okay. It's like he won't have to forget, not by himself. And Sinestro was planning on mind wiping Guy too, but once again, Hal points out that this is ridiculous. Don't do this. And Guy's like, "Do not obstruct me, Jordan." It's like I know what's best with the core and the cosmos. And you truly need. The chaos will stop the disobedience, the disorder, the wrongness. It will stop. It will stop, Jordan. It will stop. Beginning with and Hal sees it first. He goes, Sinestro. Sinestro turns his head, and then we kind of see the fists of the Guardians show up, saying, "Green Lanterns of Sector 1417 and 2814, you are under arrest." Part 6, the power and the glory. Okay, these titles are getting repetitive now. So the fists of the Guardians, they're there to take Hal, Jordan, and Sinestro back. Sinestro and Hal, mostly actually, Hal's ready to acquiesce in all honesty, but Sinestro was the one who breaks out, and the fists of the Guardians go after him, and they blast him, and they knock him down, and they capture him and take him to Oa. Hal's cleaning up everything at the prison, and the warden pretty much is thanking Green Lantern for everything that he did. Hal's back in prison where he belongs, but of course everybody's looking for Willie at this point. Hal's just sitting there trying to figure out, basically he's thinking back at everything that's happened and wondering what's going on with Willie, and what would where do I begin in telling the story, pretty much, if I got to fill everybody in on this, if I had to. Before you know it, he gets green energy popped out of prison. He ends up on Oa, where Sinestro is on trial. And Hal Jordan was essentially brought in as a witness, a character witness for Sinestro by Sinestro. And it turns out at the end of the day, pretty much Hal Jordan tells exactly, what really happened. He's not going to go out of his way to cover for Sinestro. They bring Kat Matui is called in to make the case against Sinestro. And she makes it clear what Sinestro is, what he's been doing, what he's been doing and the actions he's been undertaking. Sinestro he's going to cross-examine her, but he really has nothing to say. Sinestro is found guilty by the Guardians. And that's when he gets banished to the antimatter universe of Quard. Hal feels kind of guilty about this and everything else. And the Guardians say, Sector 1417 is now without a Green Lantern. We must dispatch a team and scour the sector to find one. And Tomar says, well, if I may, I think we may already have our replacement. And he suggests Kat Matui. Kat Matui kind of like resists at first, but the Guardians say, then can you recommend another Korgorian more worthy to wear the ring? She kind of just goes, So this is basically how Kat Matui ends up being recruited to the Green Lantern Corps. We cut Hal Jordan gets returned to prison. Now we continue picking up about Willie. It's like trying to figure out what exactly he's still being questioned for like what happened to Willie. Hal doesn't know. Hal at the end of his 90-day sentence, he leaves, and it's like there was a letter. The guy that came for Hal Jordan, Guy delivers it because Guy's there to shake Hal's hand and help him out the door. And then once Hal gets outside the walls of the penitentiary, he reads the letter, and it says, "Hal, your secret's safe with me, buddy, and thank you, pal, for the early parole. See you next time, Willie." And Hal's like, "See you." It's like, "Sorry to disappoint you, Willie, but there won't be a next time." And who's the other person? Is that supposed to be? It's Carol, but who's the other person? Is that supposed to? Is that her father? Because it doesn't look like Tom.
No, I think it was his friend that was in the car with him.
Oh, you could be right. It's just so hard to see. So Hal just points out there won't be any next time, and thus ends Emerald Dawn 2.
Perfect. What do you think? I mean, because were you reading this as it came out?
No.
I mean, well, no, you weren't because of Emerald Twilight, I know. But like, when you first read it for the first time, what did you think? Given the fact that at that point you're going backwards and catching up.
I actually like it better than Emerald Dawn. I think Emerald Dawn 2 is a better story. I like the dynamic. I mean, it's good having Hal kind of like step up to the plate and be responsible, as much as Hal Jordan can be responsible. but trying to do the Hal Jordan thing, trying to do the right thing, serving his penance, and doing what needs to be done. I actually like. As far as the Sinestro as teacher concept in the Green Lantern lore with Hal, I kind of like this version because it's still relatively brief, even though yes, technically speaking, if it's occurring during the whole 90 days, that's a month and a half, right? Actually,
right.
It's 3 months. It's 3 months. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still kind of an abridged version, so it's not like Hal was like tethered to Sinestro for a long period of time. Because I honestly have never liked that concept. I don't like that. But this version of it is a little especially because this story makes it clear that Hal holds his own with Sinestro pretty early on.
Wait, so when you say you don't like that version of it, so at the end of Jeff Johns' run, when the Sinestro says that's the thing, Jordan, we've always been friends, that's something you don't like?
I've never really been a huge fan of the idea of making Hal and Sinestro. That Hal pretty much knew Sinestro before Sinestro fell. That he was that he firsthand saw all this. I never really, I just something about it I didn't really like, and I would have been okay with him knowing Sinestro maybe before he fell. I don't like the fact that Sinestro wasn't supposedly trained him or was responsible for the majority of his training. So it's a mixed bag. I don't mind them being friends, but but either way, this version I like better because of the fact that Hal still pretty much is his own guy. And Sinestro is still looking at things through his tunnel vision, but based on seeing what we see on the page, we see that Hal's able to. He's walking in Sinestro's shadow a little bit, and he's acquiescing to Sinestro's experience, but he's able to hold his own with Sinestro, and he's able to deal with some situations better than Sinestro because Sinestro just approaches things differently, and sometimes the way Sinestro approaches it is better. Sometimes the way Hal approaches things are better. So I like that. I even like on Korigor that he was able to hold his own as long as he needed to, and things like that. So I liked the story, and I liked the relationship in this version.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like the story. I enjoyed it. Too much prison stuff for my enjoyment. Not enough Space Oa stuff and things like that. But I mean, it's sort of par for the course. I can't really fault the story for that, based on what it's trying to do here and the threads it's picking up from the prior Emerald Dawn. I don't like Sinestro's design art-wise, but everything else I don't really have a problem with, artistically speaking. So since that's the case, I can only just blame that aspect on design rather than art style, or anything particularly wrong with the art. I just don't like the way Sinestro looks. But Yeah, other than that, I enjoyed it. Fist of the Guardians. I wonder. I was trying to look it up while you were recapping. I was pulling up some of the issues that of the Green Lantern proper series that were coming out on and after this time. Because the very last issue in the letter call kind of, lets you know what other issues of Green Lantern will be coming out that month, which is like 17, 18, and then of course the big 50th anniversary issue, which is issue 19, where we have, Martin O'Dell come back and do that, Yalan Gur story and all that. So I was like paging through, and I was going even through like all the way to like issue 25 or something, just paging through to get to the letter call. To see, because at the time in the letter call, if anyone mentioned a title, they'd make the title in all caps. So I'm basically just skimming. I'm not even reading these letter calls. I'm just looking for the all caps words and seeing if anybody mentions Emerald Dawn, because the letter call at the end of this, of issue 6 is talking about issue 2. So where are the reactions to 3, 4, 5, 6? I would assume they'd be in the Green Lantern proper series, but I never see those reactions anywhere, because I was expecting to see someone ask, okay, is this retroactively what you guys are saying? This is where Guy is getting the inspiration for his suit.
That's a good point.
Because if it looks so much like Guy, and this is the moment that Guy finds out about the Green Lantern Corps and everything in this particular continuity, then are we saying that this is such an impactful moment for him that he decides to mirror his costume off the Fist of the Guardians? Because at this point in Green Lantern history, Guy already has his uniform as you see it on the Fist of the Guardians. So are you then retroactively saying that that's where he got that inspiration from? Because I could, if I wanted, I could go back and find the first time Guy steps onto the page in this costume. But because this story hadn't happened yet, I really doubt that story is going to tell us anything about why he chose the design he chose for his costume. So.
But that's a good question, though. It would be curious if that was the inspiration.
Yeah, I'm also curious about whatever happened to Willie, because he kind of disappears. I found some information in terms of like various online sources that'll you can click on the name to see other appearances of him, and it looks like Willie only ever showed up in Emerald Dawn 2. So I'm wondering, why was that thread never picked up on, especially in the Gerard Jones run, where you could easily just continue on and drop little hints here. So maybe I'm missing something. Maybe someone never connected the thread, at least on the internet, in a way that I can follow and say that he appeared somewhere else in the Gerard Jones run. But from what I could find, it didn't seem like Willie makes an appearance anywhere other than Emerald Dawn 2.
Time to give him the Phantom Ring. It was an odd thing to me, just the way, retroactively speaking, the way Sinestro acts here, because the way the story is written makes it like so obvious that he's a controlling dictator. He's absolutely in the wrong here. Whereas the way Jeff writes him, it's almost like Sinestro still doesn't understand why Hal and everybody betrayed him. So you wonder what Jeff Johns is, the Sinestro origin we never really got from him, because wasn't he supposed to do Secret Origin Part 2, which would have been like his Emerald Dawn 2? Something like that, yes.
Yeah, he said he was going to be retelling Sinestro's origin. So you think about that, and you think about this story, and then you think about what Jeff could have done in his version of this sort of these events, and you wonder what line Jeff would have had to toe so carefully to make Sinestro still seem like he's in his right mind, but also evil enough to where and what's happening is severe enough for the consequences that take place. And I'm wondering if maybe that's part of the reason we never got it in the first place, because Jeff just couldn't figure out how to toe that line. I mean, he's a great writer and he loves the Green Lantern universe, so I really doubt that that's the reason that he couldn't figure it out. But at the same time, I'm having trouble trying to figure out how you toe that line. Because if you make him too understandable and too logical, then what's the point of him being a villain? But if you make him too far the other way, then he's sort of nuts for even thinking that people betrayed him. Because it's very clear he's in the wrong.
Right.
So yeah,
that is true. That is an aspect of this true. That part I wasn't 100% thrilled with the fact that they do set it up from the beginning, and there's, even without Sinestro doing anything weird, just the way the people are reacting on Korogor to him, it makes it clear that they're not happy to see him, and sure as hell happy when he gets pulled out of there. So. Yeah, it's very obvious. So later on, I mean, obviously Sinestro is and has always been a villain up until, of course, Emerald Twilight and even into the Kyle Rayner run. But once Jeff comes on, he tries to make him one of these more understandable villains, a villain you can relate to. So if you're going to trying to make him a villain to relate to, then if he's in his own right mind, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what you go. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, sure, it's very clear that he's in the wrong, but it doesn't matter because he's in the right in his mind. Maybe that's the way you do it, but I don't know. You can't make him an anti-hero or someone to identify with if you're almost adapting what you see here in Emerald Dawn 2. Because there's no way to make this dude understandable and redeemable. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. The inclusion of Guy, making him a sort of pro bono courthouse attorney or whatever, or jailhouse attorney. That was interesting.
Yeah, I think that sums it up.
Yeah, I don't know about the choice to do that. You could have made him another. You know what would have been in more keeping? He could have just been a guard that was on Hal's side.
Yeah, but at least this makes him look a little like he's got a little more going under the hood. He's got a little more. There's a little more brain power going on there as opposed to just being or he's got maybe a little more goals. His goals, I think, it might make it look like he's got a little higher aspirations by having him be the caseworker or whatever. But maybe, but at the same time, like, the decision to make him the jailhouse attorney or rep or whatever, that's all well and good. But what does he accomplish specifically in that role? Is he a liaison between him and the judge or Carol? No. Does he do anything for Hal in terms of getting him out early or submitting paperwork or something? No. Does he do anything for Willie? No. He's in the role that you're assigning him in this story. He's ineffectual and not doing anything plot wise. It's just an excuse to have this man here in this story. Wouldn't it make more sense just to make him a prison guard that just is on Hal's side, or a prison doctor, or not a doctor, but I guess like a medical attendee, a nurse or something? Because if your goal is to make him more knowledgeable, he's got the phys ed degree, so maybe some general knowledge about medicine that would kind of go in there. You want to make him look smarter and like you said, more going on under the hood. That accomplishes that. Gives him an excuse to be in the prison. There you go. So why specifically the attorney sort of a role? Because he affects nothing in that role specifically. It's nothing more than a service to get him into the prison. Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah. It's not really a criticism, more of a why did you decide this particular one? I mean, it's fine the way it reads. It's not like I don't believe it or anything. It's just I'm curious about the choice to specifically put him in that role.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
And this is our introduction to Katma. So what do you think of that?
I like that. I thought that was kind of cool. Not surprising, considering, but I like the fact that she's kind of basically the leader, kind of like the leader of the resistance, even though she was being indoctrinated to be one of his supporters, one of his followers, and at the same time, then she ends up being his successor. So I like that little interesting dichotomy going on there.
They also made her a model for some reason.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So there's that. And we got a lot of Tomar stuff.
Yes, we did.
Small bit of Kilowog stuff, and then, of course, the stuff with the Guardians. What do you think of all that?
I thought that was a good balancing act in here. I mean, maybe a little more Guardians would have been good. Obviously, Kilowog was pretty much not in it as far as in any real effective way. But it was Tomar got some good time, and that was pretty good.
Yeah, I wish they would have made Tomar a bit more involved in this. And I know this sort of paints Hal in a bad light if they did this, but almost like if Sinestro was training Hal was sort of upset or irritated with Sinestro's methods so he kind of, bitches to his coworker buddy about his supervisor, that sort of
right.
thing, calls up Tomar and complains a bit about Sinestro. That would have been interesting, I think. Not like just outright bitching and complaining but just airing his frustration a bit so that Tomar starts seeing a bit of is trying to defend Sinestro. You're new to the Corps. You need to be trained. You're an Earthling. You don't understand. Sinestro has a lot to teach you because of course Tomar doesn't understand what's happening until he shows up on Korgar with those other lanterns. So what if, there's a bit of almost of a guilt factor with Tomar of he's spending all this time trying to, defend his buddy Sinestro who in the Corps and, tell Hal to trust him. And then, once he gets to Korgar, everything that Hal's been saying suddenly takes a different light, in the reality of what's happening on the planet's surface. That could have been cool.
That is true. But
all right. Anything else about this?
No, I think it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good overall.
Yeah. One thing we wanted to say, Michael Bailey joined us way back in the day when we covered Emerald Dawn 1. But Mike couldn't make it for this episode for scheduling reasons. So, because we did say in that episode, hey, when we cover, Emerald Dawn 2, do you want to come back? And he was, completely 100% down. But just scheduling wise, it didn't work out. So, we definitely did reach out to Mike, guys, in case you guys were expecting to hear him on this one. It just didn't work out. But, he's got a lot of good thoughts. You can go listen to him on Fortress of Baileytude. And of course, if you haven't heard our coverage of Emerald Dawn, Part Uno, that is, episode number 271. Posted, oh shit, dude. As we record this, it's February 6th. Emerald Dawn, the Emerald Dawn episode posted on February 15th, 2017.
Nice.
So 2 years ago, almost to the date.
That's pretty impressive.
For sure. Yeah, so 350. It's been almost exactly 2 years since Emerald Dawn coverage. Man, we couldn't have planned it if we tried.
And we didn't plan it, so we're good.
All right, man. Anything else you want to talk about this episode?
Yeah, we said we were going to talk about Glass. We were going to give a brief, even though we did kind of go a little longer than expected. But we won't. We'll keep this relatively. What did you think of Glass, Chad?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it less than I thought I would. It was interesting up to a certain point when the plot twist happened, because I'm not sure how much we want to spoil.
I think we can delve into spoilers now, since the movie's been out, getting close to a month now.
Okay, so if you guys don't want spoilers, here we go. Just FYI, we're not going to talk about any other Green Lantern stuff, so if you haven't seen Glass, you can shut off the show. But when the twist happens, I'm not going to say I didn't see it coming, and by that I don't mean the specifics. I just mean that something was up with this lady. But when you get this whole underground organization thing happening, and they've been operating in the shadows to prevent the world from finding out about supers, it took away something that I have been unable to define. I don't know what I didn't like about that particularly, because it's not like it didn't make sense within the confines of the movie, or in the confines of this world. If Glass is right, and that these stories that have happened throughout history are humanity's way of telling the stories of the special among them, then why haven't we heard of them until now? Why has it only been in stories, and why haven't we seen it in this new age? So it would make sense. There's got to be someone out there trying to stifle this information. But I don't know, man. Just maybe it was the way it was done. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that we're probably not going to get another one of these, because I think Shyamalan has said this is it. He said this is it, I think, in the past on other things before. So who knows if it's really it. But if this is the end of that trilogy, of this universe that he's built between Unbreakable and Split and now Glass, then I'm not satisfied with this ending. I don't like the way it sort of wrapped up, in the fact that it really didn't wrap up. I get what Shyamalan was doing. I understand the pathos and the sort of plot and the points that he's trying to make here. But narratively, story-wise, I'm not really satisfied with the ending. So
I am okay with see, this is one of those interesting movies where if I had not known the spoilers going in, I would suspect I would have come out thinking I think I would have come out being disappointed more if I actually went in completely spoiler free on this movie. But I think knowing where it was going to go, I think that in this instance made it more, I think, acceptable to me, and I was able to appreciate it a little bit more. I still wasn't thrilled with the decision to basically kill off your three main characters. Mm-hmm. I kind of, especially David, because David really got a raw deal. And David's role in the movie was not probably as large as you would have hoped it was going to be, too. He kind of did take Samuel Jackson's role wasn't particularly big in this movie either, at least for like the first third of the movie.
Yeah, I'll say that, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's one. One of the things my brother-in-law Gary said is for a movie called Glass, he wasn't in it quite a lot.
Yeah, it was weird on that level. It was, and I don't 100% get the relationship between Casey and Kevin. I don't quite get why she's so, considering where they were at the end in Split, why she's so warm to him now. You can get some basic compassion elements, I suppose, but I think it's probably because what happened to her there gave her the courage to step up, and because guys, you probably heard me several times say I hadn't seen Split yet. I saw Split like a few hours before I saw Glass, so I've now seen Split. Split is just as fresh in my mind as Glass now, so. It gave her the courage to, report her stepfather. Yes, and overcome her abuse.
Right,
yes.
and overcome her abuse. And if she knows a bit about the history of what happened to Kevin, plus understands at least the nuances of a split personality disorder, and knows that what happened to Kevin happened to her in some vein, and there is good within this man who also taught her how to stand up for herself. Don't get me wrong, I understand what you're saying, but it's almost like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, some people I know said that they thought, but I think what you're saying. I think what you're saying makes more sense now that I really think it's been a while since I saw Split. I mean, I do remember that part of it, but.
Yeah, she sees herself in Kevin in some respects, but Kevin is trapped in this hell of his own mind.
And so I do like the way how they kind of use everybody's weakness was used against them, which is not surprising. More so when they escaped and how the situation was resolved with all three of the main characters. Then how they not really trapped, but the little mechanisms they set up in each one of their cells to make sure they couldn't escape, which is interesting. Which onto it, I know onto itself it was just trying to it was playing. See, it was weird though because obviously Kevin didn't. I mean, the Beast really didn't see himself as having a weakness, so it was clear that was an actual physical trigger with the lights that would cause the personality shift. But with David, David clearly, they were based on the theory that they were trying to get across to people, to all of them, that they were not special. They clearly were just playing on David's own psychological belief that he had a weakness to water, that made him weak. So I thought that. So that was, I liked it. I did like it less than I thought. But I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it based on when I saw the spoilers. Once I saw the spoilers, I said, I don't think I'm going to like this. And then and then when I saw the movie, and it's like, yeah, I can see how it worked, and I do like the other twist of making basically Kevin's father was in the same train wreck that David was, so Glass was pretty much responsible for both of those characters becoming who they were.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cute. It was good. I mean, I can see why people would be disappointed, especially if for those who have been looking for that sequel to Unbreakable since it came out, I could see why they would be disappointed.
Yeah, you would need to make it more David and Glass heavy, and I personally, even if it was as good or even slightly better than the movie we ended up getting, but I think it'd be cool to have this trilogy where, the movie one focuses on David, movie two focuses on Kevin and his personalities and Split, and movie three focuses more on Glass. All within the same universe, but from three different perspectives. I think that would be awesome. But they went with sort of a melding of the two, yet calling the movie Glass. And I understand why they did, because he's the through line for all of this of what happened here, and his theory was correct, and he's the building block that pushes them to this moment. So that makes sense, but that's more background stuff. It's not so much in your face. It's not so much from his perspective or anything. So I don't know. That was sort of irritating to me. Cause it's one of those things. My brother-in-law said it and I was just like, yeah, they did do that, didn't they? We really should have seen Glass more.
Yeah, I think that's true.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think that sums it up.
Okay, so since some people tuned out, you think I should just tell them now that both episodes have been recorded, who episode 1 is going to be?
If you would like to, go for it.
All right, guys. The first episode of Creative Credit will be posting towards the end of February. Episode 1 and episode 2 have both been recorded. I won't say who's episode 2 yet, because that won't come out until March-ish. I want to say I'm shooting for like a once a month sort of a schedule, but I also don't have a schedule because I don't want to put myself in that box in case other things crop up, other projects we got to work on, anything like that. I don't want to do that to myself, but shooting for once a month. The first episode of Creative Credit will post towards the end of February, and the first guest is Steve the Dude Rude. If you don't know who Steve Rude is, who are you? And where have you been? Because Steve Rude is one of the creators of Nexus, one of the most popular indie comic series from the 80s, if not the most popular indie comic series from the 80s and into the 90s. Amazing work. I don't want to give any spoilers about what we talk about or how that goes, but suffice it to say, I got a very complimentary email from Steve about the interview and the questions asked and his experience on it. I do not mean that as a way to brag about myself. I am saying that as I was not expecting that, and it was very encouraging in terms of continuing the idea of the show. It was very vindicating in terms of the fact that, you know, the subject matter and the way I want to do this show and the kind of plans I have for it seem to be resonating not just with the people I like, which is someone you'll hear on episode 2, but also the sort of icons in the industry like Steve Rude. So I liked it. That was very awesome. So hopefully it comes across in that episode. So look for it towards the end of February. If you're already subscribed to the LanternCast, it will be in your feed already. So no need to do anything extra, but it will also have its own feed on iTunes as well.
Nice. You done good.
I appreciate it. Any headway on your plans?
No, not yet. Even though, to be fair, some of the things that I'm talking about could really roll over into the spin-off as opposed to being non-comic book issues of comic book issue episodes of this show, like commentary. Technically, commentary tracks could be part of that. Mm-hmm. Technically, it could be. But no, nothing concrete as far as actually launching it yet. I should make an effort to try to figure that out. That would obviously be a fun one to do, and it'd be relatively easy to record. Even if that one's only once a month, that should be pretty easy to pull together. But yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but I do want some more commentary episodes. Regardless, I know I have to talk. Corwin and I still have to do Prometheus, just to catch up. So at least it'll bookend Covenant, if nothing else. And I think Ryan and I will do. We're gonna do something for Halloween. It's either gonna be I don't think we've determined whether it's gonna be a commentary track or just basically like a Blu-ray review. Blu-ray/movie review, since we never actually got to do that when it came out. But I think in the next few weeks we're supposed to record that, hopefully. One way or the other, there will at least be there will be some Halloween 2018 episode, even if I have to record just a commentary track by myself, since I've watched it almost 15 times at least since I got it. I'm not always paying attention to it anymore, but it's in there. But I watch it, so I could definitely do a decent track on that if necessary. So, and I think it'd be worthwhile. But
yeah, starting next Tuesday, I anticipate myself rewatching the crap out of Bohemian Rhapsody when it hits Blu-ray. So I don't blame you for the rewatch. I actually started a new show on Netflix. I got an Apple TV and been playing around with that. But I started a new show on Netflix because I'm a fan of like Mae Whitman and Christina Hendricks or whatever from and they have a show called Good Girls or something. These 3 women who like rob a grocery store and all the events that follow. I've been wanting to try it, and I just got like 4 episodes in. I was just like, I want to watch something else. And so I just started watching The Fast and the Furious. I don't know why. There's something about returning to stuff you already know what's going to happen and you enjoy and rewatching the crap out of it. So I've been on a big rewatch kick lately.
Are you working your way up to Tokyo Drift?
I am, because the first one, the second one, and then Tokyo Drift seem to all be on Netflix.
Yeah,
I don't know about the others.
I think those are the only 3 on Netflix. I think, as far as I know, those 1, 2, and 3 are the ones, because they were on in January.
Yeah, because I've already seen the first one a billion times, the second one a billion times. The second one isn't that great of a movie in general, but it occupies a space for me. The Too Fast, Too Furious occupies a space for me that. This is a bad comparison, but a comparison nonetheless that the 90s Godzilla movie does. It's not the greatest movie, but if I'm going to catch myself watching it more than I really should. So yeah. But I never saw Tokyo Drift, so.
They also
if Tokyo Drift helps build out the world that happens later on, I guess that means I should see it if I want to catch up on this franchise.
It's kind of funny is because to me that's the relevance I think of the second one. The relevance of the second one is because it does add a lot of supporting characters that are going to be relevant and continue on because there's Ludacris and he comes into it in the second movie and things like that. So a lot of these characters coming in the second movie that basically have carried forward, not obviously in 3, and some of these I don't think so much in 4 either. Even though 4 I think is when they introduced Gal Gadot's character, but like from 5 going forward, obviously we get a whole. Pretty much you get a lot of the characters that were brought in that were I think in previous episodes. So I think that's relevant. And as far as a complete tangent too, I know on Netflix right now they have like Final Destination 1, 2, and 3 because I've been watching those. They don't have the later ones, but they have the first, the second, and the third one, which is my favorite. Not just because Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in it, but because it's the roller coaster one I thought was pretty clever.
Yeah, I'm not really much interested in the Final Fantasy, but I will say the other day I did watch something new, which is the third installation of the Godzilla anime.
Oh, you watched that one? That one was that was a weird one.
Yeah,
and I do think some of the criticisms about it being pretty boring were accurate. I think that's my least favorite of the 3 so far.
Yeah, for sure. Then I don't think there's anything else to say about it other than that. But it's Godzilla. I had to watch it, so. Yeah, what they did with Ghidorah, not a fan of that. That was weird. I kept expecting it, I expected it to take more of a solid form at the end. But it did. It was. You give him credit for doing something different, but as we know, doing something different doesn't always work. Yeah. All right, man. I assume the next episode we'll be talking about the next issue of the Green Lantern, huh?
Yes, I think we'll do the Green Lantern number 4 next, and we'll talk about the Endgame Super Bowl trailer. Because Lord knows there's nothing else about the Super Bowl we're talking about, but the trailer would be worth talking about.
Yeah, everybody's like, that was a great defensive game. It's like, do you watch football for the defense? Even fantasy, you don't pick defensive players.
Well, you can't.
You just say whatever. You pick a defensive team, like the entire defensive line. Just like. Nobody cares. Don't get me wrong. One of my favorite players is Luke Kuechly, so I care about defense in some way, shape, or form. But that's not why you watch football.
It would have been a good. The idea that it was a great defense. Well, let's put it this way. It was a great defensive game played. Now, don't get me wrong. Both teams played very well defensively. And in a vacuum, clearly this was the Patriots' best defensive game that they played at any of their Super Bowls under Belichick, because usually they're gasping for air in the fourth quarter, even if they played a good 3 quarters. By the fourth quarter, that's usually when a lot of teams do their damage against them in the Super Bowl. A lot of teams, the Falcons didn't, but a lot. If you look back at a lot of certainly the originals Belichick Super Bowls, the Rams, the Panthers, all the even the Giants when they beat them in the undefeated season. The Giants, I think, scored their 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but. They played a really good defensive game, but you give more credit to Wade Phillips because the Rams came up with a much better game plan and were able to deal with most of what the Patriots were doing at least until very late in the game. The Rams simply didn't make any adjustments. Not that the Belichick's plan and it wasn't good, but McVay made no adjustments at all, so it made it real easy to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't keep a back in to protect Goff, even though they couldn't. Their offensive line was bad. Been pass blocking the entire game from the first series on. They couldn't protect Goff. So let's keep putting the back in the flat. But instead of keeping one in to help pass block and slow the pass rush down, they made no adjustments at the half, which is exactly what McVay did against the Bears and what the Rams did for almost an entire month when they were struggling offensively. So, yes, what the Patriots did was cool, but they didn't play an offensive juggernaut that was seemingly unstoppable throughout the entire year and then got taken apart in the Super Bowl. That wasn't the Rams. The Rams' offense was not the same during the last 2 months. Ever since that Monday night game, which put defense back 75 years in that like that 54-51 game against the Chiefs. The Rams' offense was just not the same. So it was good. Give the Patriots disgustingly credit, but the Rams made it real easy because their defense played well enough to win. You give up 13 points in the Super Bowl to the Patriots, you should be winning that game all the time. Whoa.
All right, guys. Yeah, we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you next week when we talk about the Green Lantern #4.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.